Welcome you to a historic event, the first traffic jam in the history of Hallsville, North Carolina. What a beautiful sight. In addition to the two stated purposes of this news conference, we're here to speak for a family of farmers who have been ordered not to speak for themselves. Would you remain silent for a moment or two? Ladies and gentlemen, the Joey Carter family will sit quietly, and when this news conference is over, please respect their desire to exit and comply with some of the instructions that they've been given. I'd like to make the introductions now of the folks that are here, and I hope I can do this without any mistakes. Please hold your applause till I get through introducing all these folks. Lieutenant Governor Dan Forrest, Commissioner of Agriculture Steve Troxler, Senator Brent Jackson, Senator Harry Brown, Representative John Bell, Representative Holly Grange, Representative Phil Shepard, Representative William Brisson, Representative David Lewis, Representative Brendan Jones. On behalf of everybody that's here, thank you for your participation in this magnificent event today. I will now outline for the media and for those present our structure for what we will do from here on out. We will have introductory remarks by Lieutenant Governor Dan Forrest first, Agriculture Commissioner Steve Troxler, Senator Brent Jackson, Senate Majority Leader Harry Brown, and House Majority Leader John Bell, and Representative Holly Grange, who will speak on behalf of some of our wonderful female members of the General Assembly. We will hear them in that order. At the conclusion of Representative Holly's remarks, I will again take the podium. We will open it up for questions. All of the questions from the media will be directed to me. I will either answer the question myself or refer to someone on the podium who will take that question. Lieutenant Governor Dan Forrest.
Thank you, everybody. It's an honor to be back with you once again. And I want to thank a few folks here before I get started. I want to thank the Carter family for opening up their farm and for being good hosts to us here today. I also want to say thank you to the media who has shown up as we desire to spread light on the subject that we're going to be talking about today so that the whole world can know what is truly going on here with our family farms. And then I also want to just say thank you to you farmers, and I want to speak to you today specifically. You know, you bite your tongue a lot. You work hard every single day to make ends meet. You know the daily struggles of what it's like to grow pigs or turkeys or chickens or to grow your row crops, and you do that without complaining. And the government comes in and passes regulation after regulation, and you obey the rules. and you live up to those rules. And you've been doing that year over year, decade over decade. And we say thank you for that. We say thank you for doing your job the way you do it and being good citizens of our community and investing in our communities, pouring your time, talents, and efforts into our small towns, into the schools, into the civic organizations that you support every day. But then there comes a time, every once in a while, when you have to say enough is enough. And this is one of those times in the history of North Carolina farming when we have to say enough is enough. When we have big money, out-of-state trial lawyers coming in and ginning up plaintiffs around your farms and around your communities so that they can come in and sue you, so they put you out of business and they make millions of dollars doing it. That's not right, that's not fair, and that's something we shouldn't tolerate in North Carolina. So our job today is to come out to you and say, listen, we thank you for what you do. For the largest economy and the largest sector of their economy in North Carolina is agriculture. $85 million, you all know that. Commissioner Troxler has talked many times about wanting to grow that to $110 million as fast as he can. I'm getting my billions and millions confused there. And so we want to make sure that we do everything we can to invest in agriculture. And we want to make sure that we're supporting you every way we can, because we know that it's lawsuits like these that are going to put our family farms out of business, that end up ruining the economy of North Carolina for tens of thousands of workers. And so we're here to support you, and we just want to say thank you for everything you do on a daily basis. Thank you for today, taking time off work so that you could be here to support your other family farm friends. God bless you.
I want to thank all of you for being here today. This is a watershed moment in North Carolina history, and I was particularly proud when I rode in and saw the American flag flying over the driveway. And folks, there is nothing more American than agriculture in this nation and this state. And as an American citizen, I feel like that I need to apologize to the Carter family and to the hog farmers of North Carolina that have been drugged through this. And I apologize for the travesty of justice that has occurred in a federal courtroom here in North Carolina. It's un-American. I feel like your American dream has been taken away from you, and it's not right. But out of this, there's got to be good. We've got to stand shoulder to shoulder in agriculture and educate the public once again as to what we do, our importance, and we feed them. There are very few people, if any, in the cities and the urban areas of this state that can raise the protein that their families need. We do it every day. We do it in the most efficient way that it can be done, and I'm always amazed at the untruths and the blatant lies that have been told about the hog industry in North Carolina. We're standing in the #1 hog producing county in the United States, right here in Duplin County. Sampson County, right next door, is the #2 county in the United States for hog production. I'm proud of that. And there's a point to this. The Black River starts in Sampson County, runs through Duplin County, right through hog country, and the water quality in that river is rated at the very top in North Carolina. Now, how can that be with all of the stories you've heard about environmental disasters associated with the hog industry in North Carolina? It's just not true. But I think it goes back to the old adage, if you say it enough times, it must be true. So we have got to disprove that, we've got to educate, and we've got to talk about it. And we've been talking about the out-of-state trial lawyers that have come in here to sue the hog industry. Well, that's partially true. We have a law firm right here in North Carolina just as involved in suing these people as there is the out-of-state trial lawyers. I thought we raised people better than that in North Carolina. You know, there are a lot of things to be said today, but the thing that I know is that agriculture is not a nuisance. Agriculture is a blessing. Amen. What we do every day is a blessing, and the people have forgotten it. The food supply is abundant. It's priced at a level that most people can't afford, and it's not true all over the world. We've got a bigger job to do. The world's population is scheduled to grow and grow and grow to the point by the year 2050, we're going to have 75 to 100% more food in the world to feed hungry people. And I have said it over and over again, folks, hungry people are mean people. What I would hope is that the jurors and the judges and the lawyers in this case would go 2 weeks without eating. Fast for 2 weeks before you make a decision. That will change your mind. I can guarantee it. I don't understand why jurors have not been allowed to come to a hog production facility to experience what we do. The goodness of the families that produce this abundance of food. So, there's just so much that I don't understand about these cases, and trying to rationalize it, I guess it won't work. I've heard over and over again, you can't rationalize what's irrational, and that's probably what's going on here. But we've got to turn that around. I hope this is a wake-up call, not only for the hog industry in North Carolina, but every farmer in this state needs to understand you are not safe. This can happen to any one of us in any one of our agricultural industries. So we have got to stand tall. We've got to stand for what's right. We've got to stand for the farm families of North Carolina. You started that here today, but there are going to be many other times that we're going to need you to come forward and stand tall. I thank you for doing that. We will call on you again as time goes on. I especially thank our legislators for passing the Farm Act this year to give us a measure of protection going forward. Senator Brent Jackson was the original sponsor of this bill in the Senate. And I can tell you from personal experience, he's had a little taste of what's going on. FDA came to his farm several years ago and did an inspection and made errors in their inspection. And while they would admit that they made the errors, they said, well, we can't take it back and we won't take it back. But that wasn't good enough. I went to the National Association of State Departments of Agriculture, and 49 other commissioners, secretaries, and directors of agriculture stood shoulder to shoulder with me, and we changed that. Today, when the Food Safety Modernization Act is implemented, there will be a dispute resolution process where if a mistake is made, it can be taken back. This is a mistake, what's happened in the court system. Yes. It can be taken back on appeal, and it must be taken back on appeal. Yes. Once again, my apologies to the Carter family and all the people involved in these lawsuits. We're going to do our best to make it better, but out of this has got to come good. We have got to make sure that good comes out of the bad that we've seen so far. Thank you.
Good morning. Morning. I tell you, as a farmer and a legislator, as I said in Raleigh a few weeks ago, I've never been more prouder to be one of y'all than in my life. But to represent Sampson and Duplin and Johnston counties, as I've had the pleasure to do the last several terms, is really a blessing as it goes. The commissioner mentioned about the FDA coming to our farm. That was a few years ago. And as I told him and as I told other ones as we traveled really across the country trying to get them to change their mind, because they had no way of doing anything to correct the mistakes that they had made. And it came to my realization that some of these agencies do not answer to themselves, to the governors, or to the president. They don't even answer to God. And I know what it's like to have to fight. And so I commend the Carter family for having us here today and allowing us to come and support them. But I want to talk briefly about the crowds I see here. This is why I became a first-generation farmer. One, I left to play in the dirt. But two, the community. It is all about the community. whether you're in Duplin County, Sampson County, or anywhere in eastern or western North Carolina, in rural North Carolina, it is about community. And we all come together when one of us is hurting. And I just want to commend you this morning, and it's been my honor to serve you. It was my honor to do the farm bill. When we first filed that bill, we didn't realize it at the time, that was the first bill filed for this session, and the number was 711. And I was joking with my staff in Raleigh. I said, I guess we can go to Vegas and roll the craps table and it'll be 7 or 11, we'll win or lose. So, we got the chance to do it both. We won in the Senate, Jimmy ushered it through the House, and we won there, then our governor vetoed it. So we had craps. But we came back. We came back and we rolled again, and we overrode it all. So I think the bill was beyond my comprehension, divinely named 711. Thank y'all for being here. God bless you, and may we continue this fight that we're under, because it is a war. Thank y'all.
Boy, it's good to be around these folks, I can tell you. I represent the counties right beside you. I have Onslow and Jones County. I'm a Jones County boy. I grew up in Jones County, and my granddaddy had a farm, and I remember when I was a young guy, I started, like we all do, about 4 or 5 years old, walking behind a harvester, picking up leaves, but I can remember my granddaddy's farm, but the thing I remember most is my granddaddy losing that farm. And, that was a tough time, for our family. And I still got a lot of relatives in Jones County that are farmers, and a lot of good friends in Onslow and Duplin and Sampson County that I know that are farmers. And I think Brent said it best. The one thing I remembered most about being in that farm life, and I did it until I was 18, is just how families pulled together through tough times. And I know the Carter family is going through a tough time right now. And I can only imagine the appreciation they have for the support that they're seeing today. But that's what we do and what we did as farmers. And again, I got relatives all over Jones County that are farming today. They're in the fields today, making it happen. And I just know, for me, growing up in that environment and just the valuable lessons that I learned, and I think it just goes to show, even today, by behavior of this crowd today. It's just everybody's here supporting each other. Nobody's out of line. Nobody's doing anything crazy. It's just everybody is hurting because of what's happening here with the Carter family. And I think that's what's important, is how we pull together during these tough times. And it is a fight, and it's going to be a fight for a while. I can promise you, it's not going to get fixed quick. But it takes people like this willing to come out and show their support, and willing to be a voice in the right way to make things happen. And I just can't thank you enough for that. And I think you see the General Assembly's got your back, and we'll continue to support you. And again, it's just a pleasure for me to be here today. So thank you so much.
Good morning. First of all, folks, we have an outstanding Lieutenant Governor who's with us today. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. Thank you. Thank you for your leadership. And if you didn't know, you already know, but we have the finest agriculture commissioner in America, Commissioner Trotter. I was not born in Duplin County, but I went to school in Duplin County, and I love Duplin County. In Duplin County, I want you to know that you are represented by two of the finest men in the General Assembly, Senator Brent Jackson and Representative Jimmy Dixon, who has toted the water for the agribusiness community, for your family farmers, and for all residents in Duplin, Sampson, and all of Eastern North Carolina. Thank you, you two. And behind me sit some of the finest men and women in the House and Senate, and thank you for being here today, because your hard work and dedication is one of the reasons the Farm Bill got passed. I'm very proud of the colleagues, my Republican colleagues, that not only voted for the Farm Bill, but voted to veto the Farm Bill. And I'm very proud of my Democrat colleagues that joined us in doing that, supporting the Farm Bill and breaking rank from their party to do what's right for Eastern North Carolina, for North Carolina, our country. To the Carter family, thank you. To the other family farmers here and to the agribusiness community, I want you to know that the Republican House Caucus, led by myself and Speaker Tim Moore, stand ready to assist you, ready to protect our agriculture community, preserve our agriculture community, and promote our agriculture heritage from here until we get done with this fight. We stand ready. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm so happy to be here today. Driving through this beautiful county on the way here, I saw a lot of signs in support of our farmers, our hog farms, our North Carolina farms, and my heart was full of pride. I had a great feeling coming here today to support all of you. This has not been an attack on big business. This has been an attack on small business. And many of you know that small businesses are what drives an economy. You all drive our economy. Now, I'm from New Hanover County, and we don't have any hog farms in New Hanover County. We have some farms, but we also have the state port. And you feed your families, you feed North Carolina, you feed our country, and through the Port of Wilmington, it's one of your gateways to feeding the world. I am very proud to stand here in support of you because farm values are family values, and family values are what makes this state, North Carolina. And I thank you all, and I will be behind you 100% of the way, and God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you for everybody that has addressed us. Will now be our opportunity to field questions from anybody in the media that would like to pose any questions.
Representative Dixon, you know, the jury in the third trial is being impaneled today, I believe, opening arguments are tomorrow. Are you hoping that the jurors, potential jurors in that case, see some of the coverage of this today?
The question was about the jurors that are being currently impaneled today. No, sir, that's not our desire. Our desire is to take our message to the people of North Carolina and to the United States of America and let them make a decision, because we're certainly not currently getting justice in the courtroom. Yes, sir.
If Smithfield Foods is the one being punished with these settlements, how does that end up getting passed on to, say, these family farms that Smithfield Foods oversees?
The question is, if Smithfield Foods is the one being punished, how does it transfer to these people? My friend, this is Smithfield Foods. Other questions? Thank you very much. In conclusion. Hi, Sloan.
Thank you for having us. There are 500 plaintiffs in these 11 lawsuits who feel that the farmers are not good neighbors. Is there a compromise in all of this? Something so that there can be a better relationship? Has there been an attempt to work with these neighbors?
The question is that there's 500 plaintiffs. Has there been any attempt to compromise? And is there a compromise available? I will answer that question, Sloan, in this manner. The current lawsuit that just finished against the Carter family is brought by two individuals that live a few hundred yards right over here. When these people moved over here, they bought the land from Joey's daddy. These hog houses existed when those folks came here. These hog houses existed when these folks came here. These folks were very happy and satisfied and good neighbors until some out-of-state folks combined with some of the in-state lawyers, Bill Graham and Mona Lisa Wallace of Salisbury, and they came over and they recruited these folks. These folks were sitting at home and they were happy and they were satisfied, and the pretty car pulled up in the yard and folks got out and said, "Ain't you tired of the flies?" "Well, no, not too bad. I've been here all my life." How about this odor, this stinking odor? Isn't that bothering you? No? Well, we've been here all our life. That's what we do. That's what we do. We farm. You know what? We might could get you $75,000 if you'd be willing to sign on to this lawsuit. Wow, the flies got worse, the odor got worse, and they signed the dotted line. Does that answer your question? Yes, sir.
What does it say, though? I mean, money is important to everyone, but that this pits neighbor versus neighbor, and now two separate juries have decided so decisive. I mean, these were large verdicts, these juries, and to say there is no fault on the side that is losing these cases. Are you just saying that it's all lies and misinformation?
The question is, with the overwhelming results of the two juries and the verdicts, how do we explain that?
Exactly.
Okay, this is my explanation, and at the conclusion of my explanation, I will yield to Commissioner Troxler or Lieutenant Governor Dan Forrest if they'd like to make an additional comment, because this is the question. This is the question. This is the question. We don't feel like that we've been judged by a jury of our peers. Our peers are here today. You know, for many years, there were very smart, intelligent people that had the people of this world convinced that the earth was flat. And the people were going on the best information they've had. I'm going to give you one example. I'm going to give you two examples in answer to your, or try to answer your question. Number one, we don't believe, as good as our good neighbors in Wake County are, we believe that the judge should have considered the motion for a change of venue to put us closer to the people who are really our peers. Number two, you're sitting on a jury, and the first thing that you see is about 4 hours of a dead man testifying on videotape. This case was not lost in this courtroom, it was lost in depositions. And so you have this guy, Mr. Wing, who is a convincing, articulate, intelligent individual who was deposed. And the jury sees this. And our proposition, and we can talk more about this later, is that we haven't been given a fair opportunity to present our side of the story. For example, on this farm that we're sitting here right now, many years ago, when there was an expansion, some neighbors got together and signed a petition opposing the expansion. That was some decades ago. That was introduced as evidence. With historical background now, with the historical background that we've got, those same people were visited, every living one of them were visited and signed another document saying that over the years now, they have no problem with this farm being here. And guess what? Caskey and the judge would not let us introduce that evidence. That is not fair. Case Farms lady here.
I have a twofold, and it's very simple. One's for you and one's for the media.
We won't be asking the media any questions.
Oh, they won't answer
The media are our very good friends.
Oh, I understand. It's not a bad question. The hog farms are behind us. The wind's blowing. Would you be willing to live right here? Amen.
That question is for me. I lived all my life, and my little granddaughter, Elizabeth, right here, really enjoyed working around our hog houses and turkey houses. there is occasionally circumstances that I describe this way. And this is what we're asking you all to do. And this is what we're asking you all to help us communicate. God be thanked that there are farmers who are willing to deal with the conditions of production so that others can enjoy the benefits of consumption.
Amen.
I think the question was, how did the juries return the verdicts that they did? And I said before, I do think it's part of it is a result of misinformation that's been put out there to the public over decades now. We in the Department of Ag have experienced some of this misinformation. I think back to the PED outbreak that we had in North Carolina that affected primarily small pigs. I'm talking like this, not like this. So one of the groups sent in pictures of what they called illegal burial of hogs during this outbreak. Well, we had to have the truth. So I put my state veterinarian in an airplane with a camera and I said, I want you to fly every hog farm in North Carolina. Anything that you see is a violation, I want you to take a picture of it and bring it back to me. Well, he did. And when he got back to me, he said, Commissioner, I saw the dead box, one dead box had a top that was not shut. So we corrected that. That's how bad it was. And then after the aftermath of Hurricane Matthew, we were responding to Matthew. We were at the state fair, and I got a call from a national media outlet and said, this group has told us there's 30 to 40 hog lagoons in North Carolina that have been breached and they're ruptured, and it's going to be an environmental disaster. What's your comment? And I said, it's a lie, because I had flown, and Dana had done the investigations too. We had a couple that had a problem, but it wasn't 30 or 40 hog lagoons that were breached and were running over. I was quite amazed when I flew during Hurricane Matthew at the job the hog industry did in preparation for that, and the changes that had been made since we had Hurricane Floyd. In a lot of cases, what I saw was the hog lagoon and the hog houses intact and the rest of the farm completely underwater. That's how much things have changed over time. We are very responsible in the hog industry, very responsive. And I think back to being in China several years ago, and they were showing us the newest agricultural practices in China. And one of them said, we are moving our hog production into confinement to protect the environment. And it was one of those duh moments. Well, we've been doing that for a long time in North Carolina, and it is the most efficient way to do it. And if you've ever seen the results of what a feral hog does in a neighborhood, even an urban neighborhood, you'd understand. This is the best way to raise pork and raise the protein that this country needs.
And Travis, I'll just add one thing to that question as well. And I think this is important because the farming community is a very neighborly community. And if somebody shows up on the doorstep of a farmer and has an issue and has a concern, I can guarantee you that those farmers are going to do everything they can within their means to address that issue. And that hasn't been happening in this case. This is trial lawyers coming in, ginning up plaintiffs without that just normal common courtesy of family farming that they all deal with every day. And the second point is this, that we're dealing with law-abiding farmers. I mean, until you have spent time with a farmer, spent time on farms, it's very hard to understand the rules and regulations that a farmer has to deal with every single day. And again, like I said earlier, happily doing that. So when EPA comes in, or the Corps of Engineers comes in and tells them how to dig a ditch, or EPA comes in and tells them how to do something, or DEQ, Diener in the past, whatever that rule and regulation is, they abide by it. And in this case, there weren't any laws being broken. So how do you run a business, abide by the law running the business, and then one day find out that some big trial lawyers ginned up a bunch of plaintiffs and come out and said, guess what? We're going to sue you and put you out of business now. That's just not fair, and it's just un-American. And I think that's really part of the message that needs to get out here.
And as a brief follow-up, Sloan and Travis, and I hope you heard what the Lieutenant Governor said. Our rules and regulations are in place. Listen carefully. This man has never had a complaint. Woo! This man has never had a violation. Woo! Until the visit by Lisa Blue Byron's folks and Mona Lisa Wallace and Bill Graham's folks, and then things started happening badly. Other questions?
Yes, sir. Rhonda Garrison with the Corn Growers Association. Let's take a 30,000-foot view, and if these plaintiffs continue to prevail, what will happen to our food supply in the future? Commissioner Troxler, I know this is something that you're well versed in.
The question is from the corn growers.
Yes, sir.
From the corn growers, what portent of potential damage is there to food and agriculture if this continues unchecked? Mr. Commissioner.
I think there's a very simple answer. If the lawsuits continue, if they spread to other areas, we're going to lose the ability to feed ourselves in the United States. How important is that? I think it's the most important thing that we could ever do is make sure that we can feed ourselves. We have the farmers to do it, the technology to do it. We have everything to do it, and we can do it while we're in the field. But we can't do it sitting in a courtroom. I can guarantee you that.
Trevor.
Obviously, there's a lot of growers here who could answer this question, but what are you hearing from people on the ground who have these farms or operating as these lawsuits?
The question is, what are we hearing from these farmers relative to this lawsuit? They're going home. They're sitting around the dinner table and they're saying, we haven't broke any laws. We haven't broke any regulations. Why is this happening? And they have been scared to the point that it's personified by their presence here this morning. Yes, sir.
Has Field Foods made any indication in light of these two lawsuits of any sort of changes that they're going to dictate to these family farms in terms of how these operations are going to be run?
The hog industry, about a decade and a half ago, begun to address that. I wish some of you would Google the swine waste to natural gas operation that's just outside of Kenansville. If you will find where Hardee's is in Kenansville, and then head down that Highway 50, about 2 or 3 miles out there after you cross the 4-lane, you'll see a magnificent first anywhere around. I think the second in the nation, to where we have covered lagoons and we're harvesting that methane, we're cleaning it up, and we're putting it into the gas pipeline right here in Kenansville, North Carolina. We have paid attention to our buffers. Many years ago, when we had the hurricanes and we had so many breaches, we improved ourselves. And as the commissioner said, during Matthew, we did not have a single breach, not one breach, a single breach of a hog lagoon. We had some surface water to come in, surface water went out, but not a breach. Check on your municipalities where Mr. and Mrs. Urbanite flushed the commode and see how many gallons are still back of the well-regulated lagoons that we have for our municipalities. the answer to your question, and I'd love to spend more time with you. We've made great improvements. There are buffers here. We have records that we can show you, contrary to the river keepers who are in this for money and lawsuits only. They could give a damn about the quality of the water. It's about lawsuits. We have abundant information that will show downstream from our, what they call CAFOs, from our confined agriculture operations, that the water is cleaner than it is upstream. You want to know why? Because we're under regulations to provide buffers. Golf courses and families with front yards that they fertilize don't have to go by any buffers. Agriculture is being overly blamed for water quality. But I'd be grateful for you to visit my office, Senator Jackson, Representative Bell, Representative David Lewis. We'd be glad to come in and showcase what we're doing, because we don't have a forum, because we don't act ugly enough.
I'm going to be real brief. You know, we're talking about the thousands of farmers that have contracts with Smithfields and others, and how this could affect them and what it means to Eastern North Carolina. Well, I can promise you, the economy in Eastern North Carolina, if you affect those thousands of farmers, then the little town of Beaulaville that most of you went through, I promise you, will not be the same down the road. Because the people that suffer in these communities, farming communities, support these towns. And Eastern North Carolina, I have been fighting as hard as I can for rural North Carolina, because people don't understand the fight that's going on in some of these rural areas of the state. And this is just one of many. And if we want a few big cities in this state to support the whole state, then I guess this is the path you can go down, and that's what you're going to have one day. It's going to have a few big cities supporting the rest of the state and making things work. But people in Eastern and Western North Carolina, to be honest with you, are hard-working people that do it right, that want to be left alone and let them operate and do what they do best, and not have people from the big city coming in here trying to interfere and sue these people and take advantage of them when they don't know how to defend themselves in a lot of ways. It's just so unfair to these people. And I'm kind of like Brent. It gets personal after a while.
Amen.
It really does. It gets personal. So it's unfair.
Just to follow up on the question on the issue and how big it's become, this is, in my opinion, the number one issue affecting the state of North Carolina right now. And so I'm very glad our friends from the media are here today to actually cover the largest story in North Carolina. As I travel around the state, and I was on the phone this morning before I came here, this is a topic that's going on in the mountains as well as Eastern North Carolina. And when you look around, to further answer your question, if you look around the crowd here today, there's restaurant owners, there's farmers, there's ministers, there's car dealerships, insurance agents, real estate realtors. You name it, they're here, because once you start shutting down agriculture in Eastern North Carolina, it's a reciprocal effect. And just like Senator Brown mentioned, you talk about devastation to Beaulaville. We already have trouble here in Eastern North Carolina. We have disadvantages here in Eastern North Carolina. We're still playing that urban-rural divide, trying to catch up as far as we can. This alone decimates Eastern North Carolina and rural North Carolina. So thank you for being here and covering the biggest issue here in the state of North Carolina, if not the country.
One more question. Anybody that hasn't asked a question, right here.
Representative Dixon, so far the farmers are 2-0 in court. They've lost both cases. Do you think they've been out-lawyered thus far? And what can people that come out here today or read about this story tomorrow do to show their support or become more engaged in the goings on the next court trial?
We will not make any comment relative to the quality of the lawyering. That's something that at the appropriate time could be directed to Smithfield Foods. But what, if anything, that the folks out here could do, it's very simple. Proverbs 3, verse 5 and 6. Trust in the Lord with all thy heart, and lean not to thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct our paths.
Amen.
That's the answer. In conclusion, and immediately upon conclusion, please respect the Carter family so that they can leave and be obedient to the gag order that's been placed upon them, to where they're not allowed to speak for themselves. And so we've come to speak for them. Ladies and gentlemen, we're a free nation for a lot of reasons, but all of them tied together may not equal the fact that we've been able to clothe and feed ourselves. We're the beneficiaries of our forefathers who worked and sweated and provided enough food for themselves and a little extra to feed the rest of the world. Our freedom and liberty will continue to depend on our ability to feed and clothe ourselves. May our Father in heaven bless us that we might be able to do so. Have a safe trip back to work.